All right, we're live. So, guys, how are you? Good night to everyone.
Good, how are you?
Good.
I'm fine. I'm going to lead this class today. Santi is going to join us probably in a couple of minutes, but I'm going to be your professor from the rest of the course. So, first of all, I would like to say, of course, that this is the first real class we're going to have. The previous one was just an introduction. And of course, the methodology for this class is going to be completely different. You know, the previous one was just we speaking all the time, explaining the methodology, how it works, what we expect for you, and which are the tools that we're going to use. But today is going to be different. You were supposed to go through all the readings you have during the week, and I assume, and you should have a lot of questions. I'm really sure about that because you should have read a lot, and I'm happy to be here to answer to all the questions you have. And of course, we are going to go through the assignments you were supposed to resolve in the system. I'm sure you got problems there, and you have questions to respond from our side. So first of all, I would like to hear from you. How did it work the week? Could you read all the material we uploaded to the system?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Perfect, amazing.
Mhm.
How about you, Abdul Nasir?
Yeah, same thing.
Excellent. All right, so before we go directly to Cloud9 and through all the assignments, I'd like to hear from you if you have any particular question or some doubt about the methodology or the system or how we communicate through Slack or wherever you want to ask before we start. This is the moment.
So
Nothing? Yeah, sure.
So I ran into this issue wherein the sis.rmotr.com where you submit your assignments.
Yes.
Sometimes when you when you want to submit and then there is an error and then you go back and want to go back to a previous version, the code doesn't come up as it is. It changes some formatting.
All right.
And then
there is a way to solve that. I'm going to show that exactly right now. I'm going to share my screen. Please tell me if you are seeing my screen now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that?
Yep.
All right. Wait. This is our course. I'm going to access to the first lecture. Okay. This is all the material. Do you see my screen here? The material, all the contents that we have for this class. And here we have the list of assignments. All right. Suppose that we want to resolve this pretty easy assignment. The first one, camel case string. Accessing this, and he was asking what happens if, for example, you submit a code that has an error, but you don't want to lose the code that you have just written. You know, that was the question, right?
Yeah.
All right.
No,
So
when you restore, say you want to restore the first version.
All right. Yes. Yeah.
It will restore the formatting changes.
So, for example, if I submit this example, this is going to fail because this is expected to be a camel case, and this has the string in the same in the exact format that we have originally. Okay, so I'm going to submit this. This is going to fail, of course, because we have this test case that's testing that for this string, when we call this function, we are expecting to get this. All right. And did you see what we have here in the bottom? We have all the previous attempts. That means if you try to resolve this assignment, I don't know, 5 or 6 times, you are going to have a registry of all the attempts you did here on the bottom. So, for example, if I want to see what I did 4 days ago in this attempt, I just can access to this. Well, this is exactly the same. But, for example, this I can click here, use this code, and I have the code exactly for the previous version. This is what you need, or it was something else?
Not really.
Are you saying if you just hit the back button, it would lose the formatting? Or is that your problem?
Oh, so I misunderstood the question. So I mean, for example, if I'm there, I'm going back to the lecture. This is what you said?
No, like if I say you had like a greater than or symbol or equal to in your code, and then when I want to like say use the previous version, it replaces with like HTML formatting. So I had to like go and edit it again. So
can you please share your screen and show me one example? Is it possible? Or maybe later if you want.
Maybe later, yeah.
All right, no problem.
It sounds like it's like safely escaping it or something, or it's doing like HTML entities when you're going back.
Oh, right. Yeah. It's only happening with the greater than or lower than operators.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Maybe you found a bug in our system. You know, we're all the time implementing and testing the system. So please, if you find any bug or some unexpected behavior, you just have to write us, and we're going to fix that as soon as possible. And another thing is that the project is completely open source, and you can check the code of the system. I will post the link in Slack. The GitHub repository, you can see the code there, and of course, if you want to collaborate, we're more than happy. It's completely open source. Okay. So, any other question, guys?
My only feedback would be for some of these, you might want to be more explicit about the homework problems. Like sometimes, like for example, in the one question with guess a number, you said it should count how many attempts were made before the number is guessed.
Yes.
But then you never tell us to output it anywhere. So it's
all right. Yes.
It's kind of weird to count it and then not ever display it. I wasn't sure if you wanted us to display it.
That is a very tricky assignment. I will tell you why. For the code execution, I mean, when you post a solution for an assignment, we're using a service that is running the code for us. It's using something called Docker. Do you know that?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
All right. So there are Linux containers, and the idea is that we're executing your code in a very isolated environment, so it's safe for us to execute wherever you want to post in the form, you know. For example, in the case of the while assignment, it's difficult for us to get, for example, you can't get a value from the user queue, you know, because you are executing the code inside the container, so there's not interaction at all. You just have to send the code. The code is going to be executed in background in the container, and you're going to get the response. There's no way to interact with it. So for that, in the case of the exercise of guess a number, that is number 3 or 4, I think. Let me check that. I'm going to go back. Guess a number, this one. All right. So this is a very particular case because we cannot test if the assignment is correct or not. We are not implementing any test case for this because in the first version of the system we were using asserts. Do you know what assert is?
Yeah, it's
we're going to go through that today. But it's some kind of validating if the code is executing in the way you were expecting. You know, if you assert that one function executed with some parameters, you're going to return something in particular. And using a while, you know, it's very hard to test that with asserts. That's why, for example, in that particular example, in that particular assignment, we're not testing the code you are submitting. Probably all the code you submitted were successful because we are not applying any tests to them. But now in the last version of the system, we are using just unit tests. You know, we are applying real tests to your code, so we don't have to re-implement all the tests for that code. And the idea is that you are going to be able to see the actual test cases we are applying to the assignment. and that is going to be useful for you because it's going to be like the interface you have to fit, you know.
Yeah, that's fine. It was just unclear if you wanted the counts outputted or not, because you said to, count up the number of tries, but then you didn't have us do anything with them. That's all. Exactly. But we can move on. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. And just to keep in mind that this was a very particular case, a very particular assignment, and for all the rest, what I want to say is that when you will have the possibility to see the test case we're going to run for your code, and that is going to be a very clear specification of what we are asking you.
Sure.
You're going to read the test and say, okay, the function needs to return an integer that is the sum of two numbers or whatever. That is going to clarify you a lot what we're expecting from you to do in the assignment. Correct. So perfect. Anyone else? So you went through all the assignments, through all the ratings, and through all the assignments, right? Anyone that couldn't resolve assignments? I think I didn't have any news about Jared. Do you know him, or did you have the chance to talk with him? I think he didn't attend to the introductory class neither.
Oh, okay.
All right. Anyway, so you don't have any question about the materials, right? Any comments about the books we used for the readings? Did you like them?
Yeah, they're easy to read.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I really like Dive into Python 3 a lot.
Yes, they are very good books, and we use more than one because they have like different approaches, and they explain the same topic but from different sides, So if maybe you read one of them, you couldn't get what the book means, and you can just move to the other one, read the same topic, and it's explained in another way, probably helping you a lot. Okay. So now. Let's jump to Cloud9, please. I'm going to create, you're going to see there a folder called class1. I'm going to create a file there. And we are going to resolve all together the calculator assignment that was supposed to be the most difficult one. It's probably not that difficult if you are familiar with Python at least a bit. Oh, I'm receiving a call from Sean. Wait a second, please. All right, seems that Sean was calling directly to me instead of joining the Hangout. So here we have exercise number 10, this one. Do you see the new file there in class1 calculator.py?
Yeah.
Perfect. So this is exactly the same assignment, the assignment number 10 that was in the system. It was supposed to be the most difficult one for this week, but I mean, it's not going to be difficult if you have at least some basic knowledge of Python, but I would like to go through it in detail so we can clarify a couple of things, okay? So now I would like to get one volunteer to resolve this assignment for all of us.
Can we just copy paste what we did, or do you want us to do it from scratch?
From scratch, please.
I thought I'd ask.
Can you do that, Yatri?
Yeah, I can do it.
All right, so everyone looking at calculator.py in Cloud9. I'm going to share the screen, so in the recording is going to be displayed what we're looking for. Okay. So we were supposed to create a function that acts as a calculator.
It'd be great if I could type.
All right. Very good. And now is the tricky part, the division, right?
Yeah. So when I did this originally, I did it in a Python 3 style. So what I did was from future import.
Very nice. That is exactly
divide, right?
the thing I want to explain now.
Right. So multiply is that, and else return param1 divide. We can put spaces in, right? That's fine. Yeah, okay.
Perfect. Okay, very nice. So, many of you are probably asking yourself what exactly this line here, number 13, from future import divide, what is this? I've never seen that. And we are going to go quickly through this because this is not something that probably all of you know. So, first of all, I would like to explain the problem, okay? Can you, Yatri, explain me why exactly did you import this and why you are using this line here?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so in by default in Python 2, if parameter 1 is an integer and parameter 2 is integer, it provides floor division. So 5 divided by 2 would it wouldn't give you 2.5, it would just give you 2.
Exactly. It's an integer division, right? So it's important to clarify that here in Cloud9 we're using Python 2. We can check that if we create a new terminal here and we just run the REPL of Python. We'll see here that we are using Python 2.7.6, okay? And check that. Do you see my screen and the terminal here at the bottom?
Mm-hmm.
If, as Yatri said, in Python 2, by default, if we make an integer division between two values, we are always getting an integer, okay? Of course, the division between 5 and 2 is 2.5, okay? But Python is always returning us an integer. But actually, if you think about it, at some point it makes sense because Python is saying, okay, I'm receiving an integer here and another integer. What should I return? Probably an integer, because if you give me 2 apples, I won't give you an orange bag, you know? So from one point of view, it makes sense. But in the other hand, logically, we're expecting to have a float value or a decimal value for that, because this is not the real result of this division. So this behavior was changed in the new version of Python, in Python 3, but of course they didn't update all the code of the previous versions of Python, Python 2 and back, of course, because there are a lot of stuff already programmed in Python 2 and they didn't want to break everything, you know? So for that, they implemented this particular Python patch called feature. And this is very handy because you can import into Python 2 a lot of behavior that, or a lot of improves that we have in Python 3. For example, the division behavior. In this case, importing just this line, it's important to say that this line needs to be exactly the first line in all the Python code. This doesn't code because it's just a comment, but all the things we import from future needs to be on top of the Python file, all right? So by importing this, we're saying that all the divisions between integers are going to return not exactly an integer, but the actual value of the division, in this case 2.5. We can try that here in the terminal. If I import this module, and I think we have syntax error. Sorry.
Oh, maybe it's a division.
It's division, exactly. You're right. I was just trusting your code. Division, yes, perfect. So if we do that, this exactly the same division right now, we're getting 2.5. Does it make, guys? Do you understand the problem and the solution we used? Sorry if it is really easy for you. We're trying to nivellate and to start all from the same page. All right. So probably if you have some experience of Python, you're going to get bored in this first class. But please understand, we are trying to start all from the same page. All right.
So what's the disadvantage of using casting?
Of using what?
Casting. If I cast cat's param2 into float.
But yeah, actually, you can't do that, because how can you cast a 2 value, an integer value 2 into 2.5? It's not possible, you know? You are losing precision. That's the problem. When you do integer division, you are in the way that Python 2 behaves, you are losing precision.
Well, what if you cast it before you divide it, like both numbers?
Yeah, before you divide it, you cast both.
No, exactly. Yes, very nice. There is another option. So suppose that you don't know this module, all right? Oh, it doesn't exist. We are going to comment this. First of all, I would like to execute this code to see if it is working. If operation, yeah, okay. Going to exit the terminal here, and I'm going to execute the code. Well, actually, we'll need to call the function, for example, calculator sending 1 plus 2. All right? This is the way how we're using it. And we can use here an assert. Do you know what it is? What this is?
Yeah, essentially it checks to see if the asserted value equals what you tell it to. If not, it raises an exception.
Exactly. So basically what this is going to do is execute this function, sending these parameters, and compare using this operator to the value that we're using here. Okay, so in this case, if we execute this and the returned value is not 3, this is going to raise an exception. We can check that, run the code, and there's nothing in the output. That is fine, because we're not printing anything and we're not receiving any error, so we're fine, okay? Let's make a little change here to break our assertion, okay? I'm going to change this plus here for a minus. And now this is going to fail because the add function is going to enter in this branch of the if statement, but the result is not going to be expected. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with exceptions? Do you know what that is?
Yeah, I read about them.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. Guys, if any one of you are not familiar, we don't have any problem on going slowly here and explain in detail everything. So you just have to say, hey man, I don't understand this. I have never heard about exceptions or whatever. I'm going to take the time to explain you. You know? The most important thing in this course is participation. The advantage of the course is just the social interaction. So if you stay there in the course, just sitting down in front of the computer and in silence, you're not going to have a good experience, you know? So participate as much as possible, please. okay, this is the exception we are getting because the assertion is failing here. I'm going to restore the code. Okay. So the thing is, this is working, I suppose, because I'm going to create here a new test. We can say that this is kind of a unit test, because we are testing that the execution of the function for certain parameters is returning the value we expect. So basically, we can say that we are testing our function here. I will try to test what happens if I divide. Well, here we will have to add a new branch of elif, right? Yatri, can you do that? Check if the parameter is division or no, divide. Meanwhile, I will change this, divide, and this is supposed to return 2.5, okay? Perfect. Let's see if it works. Running the code. No errors, everything's working, perfect. So now what happens if we comment out this import here? Now if we don't have this import, the code is behaving exactly as Python 2. So this division, what is going to return? An integer or a float?
Integer.
Exactly. So this test here should fail, actually. Let's see that. Perfect. You see? Calculator 5 divided by 2 is not 2.5. Assertion error. Okay. How can we fix that? What do you think? Anyone else that have a proposal for a solution?
Typecast it.
All right. Can you try it out? Sadashi? You tell me when I can execute the code, okay?
Yeah.
All right. What he's doing here, actually, this is not the most used syntax of Python. What we used to do is avoiding the float here. Wait, I'm going to explain for this. What he's saying here is, okay, instead of trying to divide between integers, why can't we convert first the integers into float, and then we perform the division between float values, so we don't lose the precision, And it's perfectly fine because, first of all, because the tests are passing, but then because now Python is saying, okay, I'm receiving two floats, so the value I'm going to return is going to be a float, not an integer, and that is exactly what we expect. All right? I would only change one thing here, and is this. I'm going to remove this. Sorry, I'm editing your code.
Yeah.
If you do exactly this, it's completely enough. You don't need to have both values as float. Just having one value, Python is assuming that the returning value is going to be a float. We can check this.
Right, and that's how I did it. I had one quick question.
I have a problem somewhere. Line 23, float. Right? Running the code again.
Put the flow in the
all right, there you have. So no assertion errors, everything is working, and you see, I've just casted one of the values. We don't need to cast both of them.
And to clarify, you have to do the float before the division, so you couldn't do like return float param1 over param2. That would fail, correct?
No, it will fail the assertion, but the code will execute correctly. I mean, what we're going to have here is this 2.0. So it's 2 converted to float.
Right. Yeah, that wouldn't give you the proper float because the division's happening first.
Exactly. Yes.
Right. Okay.
In that case, the division is performed between integers. So
Right.
the return value is an integer that after that is converted into a float.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Right. So did you get the general idea of integer divisions and how and why this module helps us? Everything all right? No
Mm-hmm.
questions?
Yep.
No problem.
Great. Perfect. All right. So now I would like to extend this calculator. Now here we're accepting just two parameters and we're applying one operation to both of the parameters we're receiving. We know that we have a fixed amount of parameters. There is, in this case, 3. One is the operation, and 2, the first 2 parameters are the numbers that we are accepting to apply the operation, okay? What if we would like to extend this and receive a variable name of parameters? You know, for example, if I could execute the calculator saying, okay, apply this operation, for example, add to all this list of numbers, but I don't know exactly how many and which numbers we're going to send. Do you see a problem?
Yeah, you would have to put the operation first in the arguments, and then you would have,
Wait, I'm going to write here the interface. You know, when I'm saying the interface, the way you're supposed to use the function. Picture that you're not the developer of this function. You're just an external user of the function. You're importing the function from some external module, and you just have the interface. So the way you have to use it. This is that what I'm going to write here. For example, well, actually, I can use some test cases. Suppose that I change this to be something like this. And we apply the add operation, and we get 4, 7, 9, 10. All right, this, and I also like to say, for example, 8 plus 2 equals to 10. These 2 examples at the very beginning. Okay. How can we change this function? How can we change the implementation of this function to follow the new test cases we have here? Anyone? Not yet, please. That can help me to.
I could name 2 ways to do it.
Please, okay. Please first tell me what you do, and then we can go directly to code and change it.
So one way would be to make the first argument the operation,
and
then
wait. One second. In that case, you wouldn't be following the specification here.
Because it would break the interface.
Yeah, exactly. We need to have the operation in the last spot of the parameters.
I'm not sure if this would be okay. I could see you could pass all the parameters or all the numbers that you wanted to add in like a list instead of separated by commas. I don't know if that would work though. You would have to change.
Can you write here in the middle, for example, in line 26, an example of how would you use it? No, how you implement it. How would you use it?
Yeah, I was thinking something like this, where it's like, and then something like that.
All right.
But that too would kind of break your interface because you would have to drop parameter too.
Again, we are not following the specification in that case, right?
Right.
Any other ideas?
Polymorphism, like in C++.
For example, do you have an example?
No, like you'll have to like.
Wait. Anyway, polymorphism is a topic related to object-oriented programming, right? So I think we couldn't apply that in this particular case.
I think I have a way to do it.
Who's talking?
Yatri.
Again, yeah, Trey. Wait,
Yeah.
wait a second. If we can't find anyone else, we can go with you. But
Okay, sure.
anyone?
Um,
Come on, guys. Don't be shy.
well,
You're here to make mistakes and to
the
ask questions. So don't be shy.
right. So what I'm thinking is, I read from, I think it was a bite of Python,
Yes.
that you pass in a tuple, um,
Very nice. Okay.
by passing like a star parameter
Mm-hmm.
and then the operation. So whatever you pass, like if you pass in 1, 2, 3, 4, it will go directly into the tuple, and
Yes.
then you just iterate through the tuple and then add them up and then print out the solution. I think.
All right. Perfect. That makes totally sense. And that in Python is called variable numbers of arguments.
Right.
There is a specific way of sending and receiving a variable number of arguments. We're going to go through that right now. Do you remember from the readings something like star args, something
Right.
like this?
Yeah, I was under the impression that had to be the last argument in the function call. Is that not correct?
No, I don't think so.
I didn't get what you said, Neil.
This is Neil. So I thought if you passed star args as a parameter, I thought it had to be the last parameter.
Yes.
Maybe that's not true in Python.
Yes, actually, this is not the last. The last one is keyword args. This one. But anyway, if you have just one here, you're not going to have problems because this is actually the first and the last because it's the only one you have. Right? You're going to receive all the arguments in here, everything.
So you're going to include the operation in the star args.
Exactly.
I see what you're doing. Okay.
So all these things here are going to be sent to the args tuple. This is going to be a tuple. I'm going to comment here. A tuple containing, in the first case, in the first example, the tuple is going to contain this. All right? So now that we know this, how would you change the code to support the multiple or the variable length of arguments? Abdul Nasir, can you go through the code and make some changes so we can fit the specification we have there?
So let me see. Let me get that. So you want me to change like maybe the add operation?
Yes. For example, first of all, what is the first thing we need to get?
We need to get the content of args.
Yes, we have in args we have like two different kind of things. We have first of all we have the list of values that we have to operate, and then we have the operation.
And then we have the operation.
First of all, we need to split that into two parts and have in one side the numbers and in the other side the operation, right?
Right. So is there like a particular function that does that for a tuple? Because I don't remember like split. But the only thing I know is I could split it into I could split it and turn it into a list, and then iterate through the list and find out which one is a string and which one is not a string, and then put them in two different variables. I don't know if that is.
There is a shortcut to do like all but the last. And if I remember from my reading, it was something like x, or it would be like x star comma y equals args, I think, or something like that. And then you could use x as the everything except the operation.
Yes,
right.
Maybe, but actually we have a
better solution. Yeah, I think I remember. Yeah, I think I remember. Yeah, I could use slicing, like you could slice.
That is one way. Perfect.
Okay.
That is one way.
Yeah. So, for instance, maybe I don't know. Let's see. Maybe we're storing it in. Maybe we could say adds. Do something like I think -1 will return the last value, right?
Perfect.
So that
Perfect.
So that will store the last value, and then if you want to store the rest of the values, maybe I don't know what to call them, values. Values, now let me see. So do we have like a definite amount of things within the arcs, or it is infinite? Like you can't know whatever it is.
Sorry, I didn't get that part.
Okay, I said, do we know the exact amount of what is within the arcs, or it could be
No, no,
any
no.
amount?
That's the clue. We have no idea of how many arguments we're getting. It's
We
a
have no
variable
idea.
number of arguments.
So we're gonna just start from the beginning to the end of the list minus one then.
Exactly. Yes.
Right.
We only know that in the last position we have the operation. So we would need to like cut all the values from the first one to the
Right.
last one minus one.
The last one minus one. So basically it's gonna be arcs, length of arcs. Okay, second. I don't know if that works, but
Maybe we can try that.
but
Anyway,
I think,
we should move. Wait a second. I will move your code from this place to inside the function. All right.
okay.
So
All right.
we'll start fixing the test cases. All right, and we're going to rename this into operation. Okay.
Right.
So how can we check if this is working or not?
Well, we could just print out, what value it is and see what it will give us.
Let's do one thing. I'm going to comment out all the if statement here. How you comment all the code? All right. Going to do this for this statement, and we're going to just print here.
Yeah. What is it?
Operation and values, just to check if we are getting the parameters in the correct way. Yeah.
Right.
I'm going to execute this, and in the first case, I'm going to comment this out too. We're going to concentrate in the first assertion. Let's run this again. So, operation is add, which is completely fine, and the values are numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that correct?
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. So the first step is correct. We are separating the operation from the values. Now, what should we do now? Now that we have everything clear and separated, we have to decide what to do for each operations, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I'd like to propose to do one thing. Let's move into different functions. Here, for example, let's create a new add function that's going to receive values.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to send, in this particular case, we are going to return the execution of add sending values. Let's comment everything this out. Are you following me? I'm going to split all this huge function into different ones, so we can separate the responsibilities of each particular function. This is just a new small function that will have the responsibility of return the sum of all the values that we are sending here. So after we implement this function, these assertions should work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you continue implementing this, Abdul Nasir? Someone has like a noise in the background.
So let's see. So you want us to continue? So let me see. If operation at return and values. So now we're passing in value. So that would mean that we need to let's see.
Sorry, wait, we don't need this. We're just sending a tuple here, right?
Exactly.
We're executing the add function and sending a tuple of the values we have received. In the first case we're trying to solve, we are receiving this tuple with a number from the 1 to the 4.
Right. So I learned about this. I don't know if tuples. Can you?
Wait a second. Can you implement this function using a for loop?
Yeah. So I was thinking of using list comprehension. So that would mean I would have to turn value into a list, which is possible by just
wait, but yeah, we could use that, or we can use any of the built-in functions we have for functions for lists or tuples. But let's start by the most basic and simple way of solving. So can you please do a for loop through all the elements in values?
All right,
and add all the numbers and return the sum of them.
All right, that's fine. All right, so I can say sum equals 0. And then we're going to say let's just do it, yeah? That should work.
Yes, and we need to return the value, right?
Okay.
Great, perfect. That looks very nice. Just one tiny comment. Do you see that the sum variable is written in blue?
Yeah.
Because
we have
it's a restricted word in Python because we have a built-in function that is called sum. So let's just rename the variable to, I don't know, result or something like that.
Okay.
Guys, are you all following what we are doing?
Yep.
The very simplest way of implementing this that we have. So let's see if it works. We execute the code, we enter here, we divide the operation and the values, and as we have the add operation, we are returning the result of the add function, sending the values, okay? Let's see if it is working. Perfect, it's working perfectly. So now that we have the most basic way of resolving it, do you have in mind, any of you have in mind a most efficient way of resolving this? I mean, saving a couple of lines?
It would be the sum function, right?
Exactly, perfect. How would you replace the add function here to work with the sum built-in function?
I don't know if sum adds up totally what is it within a tuple, but tuple, but if that would be the case, then we just don't even need the function add.
Let's do one thing. I'm going to open the REPL here of Python in Cloud9 terminal. If you check my screen, you're going to see that.
Right.
And I'm going to create a tuple t equals to, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. And we're trying to use the sum function.
Okay.
So let's try something like this, right?
Right.
Perfect. This is exactly what we need, and it's exactly the same that this add function should return. So we can change the for loop with just an execution of the sum built-in function.
Right. So, but do we need the add function now? Since we can just say some value.
Yeah, the function is going to be just one-liner, you know. But let's keep separated so we can keep doing more concepts and keep building more concepts on top of this example.
Okay, so we should just change this one to some values then.
Some, exactly. Okay, but there is something.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Perfect. Yes. Very nice. All right. That looks very good. Actually, we don't need to create the results variable because we can just return directly the result of this function.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Perfect. So let's see if it is working anyway. Great. No errors. Everything looks fine. So now that we have implemented the function and the first test case is passing, let's try out the second one. Do you think that this should work anyway or not?
The divide? Yes.
Look at here we have a different amount of parameters. In the first one we had 4 numbers, and here, wait, I'm going to change this to add.
Okay.
There you have. We had 4 numbers in the first example, and we have 2 numbers now. It should work, right?
Yeah.
So let's see. Perfect. No errors. It's working. So we have implemented a very how could you say that? Very flexible add calculator. You can send how many numbers you want, and this calculator is going to add all the numbers for you, no matter how many of them you are sending. This is somehow much powerful than the one we had before, that it was just expecting to receive 2 arguments and no more than that, right? And the important thing to remember is how to use variable numbers of arguments. This is a very handy feature of Python. We also have something called named arguments. Do you read about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can anyone give me a quick introduction to what it is?
It's ** keyword arguments. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, exactly, but conceptually. What is conceptually, and when and why would you use it?
Okay, so basically, in a function call, you can name certain variables with certain values. You can give them default values as well, the way they're listed. But essentially, it's more useful for filling in certain variables by name if they're being used elsewhere.
Exactly. So, perfect. All you said is correct. But there is something that is not technical, but it's the most important thing of the name arguments. And the thing is that the code is much more readable. I will show you an example. So, suppose that I change the interface of this function again. Sorry, we're working again through the same example, but we're trying to build the knowledge one on top of the other. It's very in that way. So suppose that I'm changing this, and instead of sending everything at the same level here, mixing up the operation and the numbers, I'm going to separate this into values. That's going to be a list of values and operation. All right? So now we are getting in the function, again, 2 parameters. One is the list of values, and another one is operation. Okay? How would we change this? Anyone? Not Yatri, not Abdul Nasir?
I think operation would just be args 1 instead of -1. Since there's 2 arguments there.
How many arguments we're going to get now?
2.
2, perfect. And where, in which variable, how should we rename this in order to receive what we have here?
Oh, you want to change?
Remember that we are talking about named arguments. Remember that this args was a tuple of things. In the case we were explaining, the things were numbers and the operation, but this is a tuple, right? We should change this somehow to receive a dictionary. The dictionary is going to have two keys. One key is values and the other key is operation. You remember something from the readings?
So I think because it's a dictionary, you need a hash. So it's like the colon plus the variable in front of it. I could be wrong. I don't remember exactly, but
no,
I think
it's perfectly fine. If you're wrong, it's okay. We're here.
I think it might be, like values operation. I'd have to look up the syntax, though I don't remember it.
Okay. All right. The syntax is not correct, but maybe conceptually you are fine. Let me see if I can find here. Do you see my screen? I'm sharing one slide.
Yep.
I'm trying to go directly to the name arguments. So let's see this example we have here. Very simple function times my name. We are receiving two parameters. The first one is my name, and the second one is how many times we want to repeat the name. Okay, we are assuming that because we are executing the function with these two parameters, but we are assuming that the first one needs to be the name and the second one needs to be the number of the times we want to repeat it. Okay, but check this way. Don't you find this much more readable than the first one?
Yeah.
We're saying, okay, this is the function. We're executing the function, and I'm sending the parameter name equal to Tom and the parameter times equal to 3. First of all, this is much more readable. We're explicitly saying what we are sending. And the second good thing about this is that in this case, we cannot change the order of the arguments. We cannot say times my name 3 Tom, because that is going to break everything, right? But in this case, we can easily change that. We can say times my name times 3 in first place, and then name equals to Tom. Why? Because in this case, we're receiving a dictionary in the function. Let's see if we have here. Here, no. I don't see. I don't know if you have the example. If not, we're going to jump directly here. Do you see this? This is the version we have just used in the calculator, right? Guys, are you there?
Yes.
All right, sorry. So in this case, we are receiving a tuple with all the arguments we are sending. But in this case, in the second that we didn't use yet, but we're going to use right now, we are going to receive a dictionary of all the named arguments we send while executing the function. Okay? Do you remember this double star from the readings?
All right. So the single star is a tuple, and two stars is a dictionary.
Exactly. Simple star is the variable number of arguments, and the double star is the name arguments. There is going to be a dictionary in here. So let's make some tries. First of all, thank you very much, William, for this example. Conceptually, it was correct. We're going to receive here somehow a dictionary. The correct syntax for that is double star keyword args. This keyword args name is just a convention. You can put here wherever, okay? The magic here is done by this double star. So let's keep the convention, keyword args, and let's just print what keyword args contains, just to see what we're receiving, okay? We're going to execute just the first example. Remember, we are sending just two parameters, value and operation. Let's see. I'm going to execute the code. Do you see my screen here? Forget about deception. Of course, this is going to fail now because we didn't implement anything yet. But this is the important one. Do you see the dictionary there?
No.
So in args, we are getting a dictionary with two keys. One is operation, that is the name we used here to send the parameter, and the other one is values, that is containing the list we are sending here. So how would we have to change the function to follow this new implementation? William, can you change the code and pass all the tests? Don't worry
yeah.
if you are not accustomed to the syntax. I can help you. We are here to make mistakes, you know.
Okay, let's see.
Remember, keyword args is a dictionary.
Okay, so you have to pass in the values. I remember the syntax with working for dictionaries, but would it be that?
Yeah, actually, it's kind of correct, but the keys in a dictionary needs to be, in this case, strings. So look at, wait, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to put a comment right on top of your code. So the dictionary, picture that the dictionary has two keys. One is operation and one is values. And values is a string. So we need a string here.
Okay.
Okay, so keywords in values is going to return us this list, right?
Yep.
Great, perfect. And what is this add function here?
That would, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Underscore add is the function we have implemented here separately. Okay, but we don't need this semicolon here. This is not from Python. We are not using semicolon in Python. There's JavaScript or something like that, C++.
I'm taking a C++ course right now, so I'm used to it.
No issues. All right, so this is perfect, but we don't need to execute this function all the times. We need to do that only when the operation is add, right?
Fix that.
Perfect. Okay, but that is correct, but we don't have operation defined here. What is operation? Perfect. Okay.
All right, would that do it?
That seems correct to me. Let's see what the assertion says. So I'm going to execute the code. Perfect, no errors. So this is actually solving the problem. Okay, but we're using keyword args instead of the tuple. So if you check this, only the execution of the code, picture that the way we use it is much more readable than the previous one. Do you remember this one? Look at this one. We're sending numbers here. We have no idea. We have no clue what these numbers are. we'll have to read the documentation of the function or something, but this is not explicitly telling us what these numbers are or what this string is, you know? Maybe the function is trying to, I don't know, concatenate all these values together or whatever. In this particular case, we are saying explicitly that the operation is going to be this value, and all the values that we are going to receive the operation are this list of values. Make sense what I'm trying to say? This is not a technical concept, but it's much, how can we say that? It's like a good practice. Sometimes you, as programmers, you don't have to care only about the technical side of something that is working or not, but you also have to think about the non-technical things. For example, readable. Is the code readable or not? Is it understandable? Is it easy to use for other developers? Remember that there is some statistics that says that as a programmer you spend more time reading someone else's code than writing your own code. You know? Have you ever heard about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very important to think about the other people that is going to read our code. And when you implement something, you have to take that in mind, okay? Just a quick advice. So we have seen both keyword args and tuple args. This is very powerful. Do you have any question about this? Do you like me to go again through any of the topics I've explained it?
Yeah, one
Does
quick
it make
question.
sense? Yes, William, sure.
So if you go down to the assert and you add a third argument or a fourth argument, like 3, 4, for example, when you call the calculator function, would you have to then put asterisk args?
Okay, I see your point. Okay, so you're trying to say, can we mix arguments with keyword arguments?
Yeah.
Something like that? Okay, yes. We can do that, but this is exactly the case that Neil told us before. Do you remember that he told something like the keyword args needs to be in the last spot of the arguments?
Okay.
So for that, we would need to do something like this: args and then keyword args.
Okay.
So this is a restriction that Python sets to us. First, you need to send the args, and then after that, you can send any keyword or name arguments if you want. So in this case, we need to send first the values here and then the name arguments. Okay, I will wait. I will remove this and I will print args. I will print keyword args just to see. I will put this so the execution doesn't continue. Let's see what we get in this case, right? So do you see this? Args is a tuple with these two values, and we have then the dictionary of the keyword args. That is completely fine.
Okay.
Okay. Any other particular question on that? Sometimes it's a very confusing topic. So if you didn't get any of these, just please ask, and we're going to go through it again. Neil, are you there?
Yes, still here.
It's Neil or Neil?
Neil.
Neil, sorry if I pronounce it.
This is all clear?
Is it okay for you?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Great. Then let's move forward. I'm going to change this code again a bit. Let's keep the previous version we have that we were using the keyword arguments. And I want to show you another feature of Python that is actually awesome. And it's called functions as first citizens. Have you ever heard about that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not something about Python, it's something about many other languages, but I want to show you, particularly in Python, how we can handle that. So we have here the operation. All right, we have a string containing name of the operation we are going to apply through all the values in here. I hear some noise. Anyone? I'm going to. Can you please silence your mic when you are not speaking? Okay, I keep hearing the noise, so probably something of my headphones. All right. We have the add function here, right? What if we would like to directly execute a function that is I mean, here, for example, we're getting the string add, right? And we know that there is a function that is called add. So why, instead of doing this and checking with an if statement if the string is add or not and executing the function by hand, why not executing directly a function with the same name that the operation we are getting? Do you see what I'm saying? No, right? Should I repeat it?
Yes, it's clear. As long as it's the same
clear.
name.
So I'm going to explain the same in another way. What if we could, instead of sending here the operation as a string, if we could send directly the function, not the string that represents the operation, the function that is actually performing the operation. You know, in this case, it's add. I'm going to remove this underscore here. So what if we could send this? Do you see the difference? Do you see the difference between this and this? Makes sense, the difference to you? It needs to be very clear. In the first case, we are sending a string, just a word. We're sending the string and we're then checking with an if statement, which is the function that we should execute for each of the string that we're getting. But what if we could send directly the operation here, the function? You know, we have a function called add here, and we are sending the function directly to the calculator. So here, instead of getting a string, we are getting a function, right? Do you follow me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So operations is going to be keyword args in operation, right? But do we need to keep all this if statement?
Nope.
No.
No, we can get rid of it.
What can we change to improve this? How can we save a couple of lines here? Who can help me?
I think I did this in my homework, but I might have done it a little differently, but it still works.
All right.
So we know that the variable operation, oh, there we go. We know the variable operation is that, so we can just do, and then pass in values like that directly.
Exactly. Perfect. So do we need to still keep all this if statement here?
No, we can get rid of those, I think.
Why not?
Because whatever the operation is, as long as there's a function with that name, it'll just run that function.
Exactly. The only thing that we have to keep in mind is that all the operations have the same interface. you know, the same way of usage. So, for example, here we can define the multiply function, you know, but the multiply function needs to have the same interface that the add function. What is the same interface? Receiving a list of values and returning wherever we're going to return, but needs to receive a list of value and return just one value. This is the same interface. If we follow this interface, we can send directly, for example, here, instead of add, we can send multiply, right?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, this would have security risks unless you like whitelisted available function names, though, right?
Very nice. This is what he's saying is that we are assuming that the function that we receive here in operation is a safe function, you know? But
Right.
if someone else is executing this code and using our calculator, we don't know what he's sending here, which function, and which is the functionality that's going to be performed in that function. So yes, it might have some security issues, but this is just for demonstration and for explaining what we want to explain now. So,
So what happens if there is no operation or a function defined?
all right, let's try it out. So let's remove this. And first of all, I want to show you something. Let's print here the type. Are you familiar with this built-in function? It's just printing out the type of the thing we are sending here. And I want to print the type of operation. What should we expect to be the type of the operation? A function, perfect. Why a function? Because we're sending here the add name, that is the name of this function. So the type of operation should be a function. Let's see if this is what we expect. Wait a second. Running the code. There you have type function. You see? In the previous example, the type of operation was going to be a string, not a function, right? So now that we have here what we expect, let's move on. We said that we were going to execute directly the operation that in our example is going to be add function. And we're going to send directly the values. I'm going to move this out into a new variable just for better understanding. We have operation and values. All right, and what about this? What should we do with this?
We can get rid of that.
Perfect, very nice. So, great, then let's try it out. It work. Let's see. Very nice. No errors. It's working perfectly. Can we? Can any one of you please expand this calculator to support some other operation? Neil, you want to do that?
Sure. So
pick whatever operation we want, implement the function, and create a test case for that.
I can do subtract.
All right.
Be very similar to the so for subtract, though, we don't know. I'm muted now. We don't have any validation to know that they're only passing us 2 values here, and that's one of my concerns. Can we just assume that it's
you're cutting off
minus the second value?
All right. Yes. Can I give you just one recommendation?
Yes.
Have you ever heard about TDD? test-driven development?
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, so it's a really interesting philosophy. It's also a way of working, you know. And basically, what it says is, first, write a test case for what you want to implement. Check that the test case is failing, and if it is failing, then go to your code and implement the solution for that test case until the test passes.
Right. It's like the red, green, whatever kind of.
Exactly. So let's first create a test case for that.
Okay.
We knew that the tests were all passing before adding this. So,
right. So let's. I meant to ask you before, when up here we said we checked the type on operation, and that came back as function instead of string. Is that because this is not in quotes?
I think I didn't get the question. Can you repeat that?
So before, like when we checked type operation,
yes,
and it returned function.
Yes.
That returned function because this was not in quotes. Is that correct? Because it's.
Yes, exactly. Let's do one thing so we can understand better. Let's change the name of the function here to add underscore function. So we have very clear that this is not a string and this is not the same value as the string. This is different. And we will have here the subtract function. And here we will have to send the add function and the subtract. There you have it. Wait, no squares here.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I just wanted to be clear.
So great. If you execute the calculator with those values,
so you want it to fail first, then, or we want to run it until it works.
Wait, you have to specify the two. Okay, perfect. I will run the code, and this should fail, right?
Yes.
Perfect. First of all, because we have a syntax error here in line number 20, let's add just a pass.
Sure.
So we have the defining function, but it's actually doing nothing.
Right.
Let's run the code. There you have assertion error. When the operation is subtract, the result is not true. Perfect. We have the failing test. Now we have to implement this function until the test is passing.
Okay. So I would normally do return, and then the base assumption is that it's this was originally a dictionary or a hash, but once it's passed in as a list. So I would do value 0 minus values 1. I guess that's where I would start.
Okay. I see your point. You are trying to follow the 3D methodology, right? Because this is going to work for this particular test, but it's not as flexible as we expect, you know?
Okay.
So let's try it out. Let's try this code.
Sure.
Perfect. It's working. But what if I add a new test case? I'm saying, okay, let's put 10 minus 1 minus 1. This should be 8. Let's see if it is working again.
Right, and then it'll fail.
Wait, here I tried to add one. Yeah, there you have. So running again, and there you have it. It's not working, you know, because this is a particular solution for the second case, but not for the third one. So let's now expand this solution to solve also the third one.
Okay, so I guess for this, I would then make the assumption that we have an undefined number of variables, and we should always treat it in this method.
Yes.
So I would say for I in values, I guess I should say, I guess we have to start with the first I. I equals, or is it minus equals or equals minus?
Minus
equals I. Is that right? Or for I plus 1. So this is the first value, so this would be 10 minus equals plus 1. It's not really what I want. I think I'm mixing up my for each loop here.
Anyone else can help?
Yeah,
To
I think I is just a different let's see,
Yeah, it's not
operand.
the index. It's not the
So-
index.
It's the actual value, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You
so-
can do actually the for iteration in Python is behaving as a for each in other languages. You know,
Right.
you're getting in this case in the variable here you're getting each of the values in values list.
Right.
Or wherever.
So I could start with the first value. I'm kind of backwards here now.
Perfect. Yes.
So that's the first value, and then right in values. But then I'm kind of repeating the first one there, right? So this would say like this would be 10 for I in values, and then it's 10 again.
Yeah, I would just rename I to maybe like a
Yeah,
result.
maybe I'll just do like results. So result equals I or result minus I or something like that.
Right.
Or sorry, I guess minus equals I. I think this breaks because it subtracts the first value on the first time. Wouldn't that do?
You could
We
delete
can try
the
that.
first
If you want, I
value
can
if you want.
execute the code and we can try. What?
Sorry, we can keep going.
The first one,
No.
like, result should maybe equal to 0. So that you can start.
Yeah, the result can start with 0.
So that you could.
If you start with a 0 and it's a 0, let me check. I think it's not
No,
going
that
to
wouldn't
work.
work. Yeah, because that would just subtract 10 to it. And
Right,
then
that's what I'm saying. This would be 10, and then the very first result will be 10 minus 10. So I need to like skip this ahead for the first time, kind of.
Exactly. So you have to catch the first element and then iterate through all the elements, but the first one.
Right. So I guess I could slice
Yes,
value here.
exactly. Yes.
Is that? I'm trying to remember what the syntax for that is. That just one? I've got to kind of look it up.
Yes.
No,
Perfect.
that's right.
That's correct.
Is that right? Okay.
That is saying iterate through all the elements from position 1. Remember that the first position is a 0, right? From position 1 to the end of the list.
Right.
That's perfect.
Okay.
I think we have here an indentation error. We have just 2 spaces. We need 4, right?
Sorry. Yeah.
And
then I need
should I run the code here?
And then I still need to return the result too.
Yes.
So. Okay.
All right. I will execute the code. It's working perfectly. So, guys, congratulations. We have a very flexible calculator now. So, do you see how we can send a function as a parameter? This is not allowed in many other languages. And that's why we say that in Python we support functions as a first citizen. That means that you can use functions at any other object in the language. You can send the functions as parameters. You can, I don't know, assign a function to a variable. You can do whatever you want with a function. It's just another object. Did you get that?
Yeah.
Makes sense? All right. So we have 30 minutes more in the class. First of all, I want to make a stop here. We have covered many topics today. I'd like to know if you have any particular question. You all right?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. My
Okay.
question will
Yeah.
just be, it's not going to be about the class, it's going to be about the group homework.
Yes,
I don't know.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. The last 30 minutes of the class, we are going to go through the group assignments. Remember that for the last few days, you were supposed to do the solo work. I mean, the readings and all the assignments. Today is the class, and from now on, you will have until next Tuesday to both resolve the group assignments. We're going to build the groups today, and also to read the content for the next class and resolve the assignments for the next class. Okay, so you will have to find a way to mix together the group work for this class and the solo work for the next class. Make sense?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if any one of you didn't resolve some of the assignments. Actually, yeah, I know that, but if any of you didn't resolve the assignments for this class, that doesn't mean that you don't have to do them, you know? If you couldn't do that for this class, you can do that the next week anyway, or next days. The idea is that when you finish the course, you have 100% of the assignments resolved, right? Let's now move through the group assignments. I have here material for the class. And did you take a look to the assignments, to the group assignments?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Have you ever heard about the Fibonacci numbers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Okay. So if you're familiar with that, I'm not going to spend much time explaining it, but here you have the link to Wikipedia. You can just enter it there and you will see that Fibonacci is a sequence of numbers that follows very particular behavior. And the thing is that for each element in the list, in the sequence of numbers, the number is the sum of the two previous one. All right. So for example, the number 2 here is the sum of 1 and 2. The number 3 is the sum of 1. No, here is 1 and 1. 1 and 2 is 3. 2 and 3 is 5, and so on. Here you have the general formula for that. The number in the position n is equals to the number in position n minus 1 plus number in position n minus 2. Make sense? Pretty easy. All right. So we are going to build the groups, and after that you can start working. You have to do this example, no, this assignment, the Fibonacci. In this case, we're asking you to get, all right, it's a function that receives, for example, a number, I think, yes, a number, and you have to generate the nth number of the Fibonacci sequence. So, for example, if I tell you, give me the third number in the sequence, you will have to return the number 2. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty simple. Okay. And the second one, here we have 3. The sorting algorithm, pretty easy one. You're going to receive a list or some iterable object, and you have to sort them, implement the sorting algorithm, both the bubble sort and the insertion sort. You have, if you don't know them, you have the specification here of the explanation of the sorting algorithms. And the last one is having, of course, you have heard about the tic-tac-toe game.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you have to implement that. You are supposed to be able to play one against the other. That's a really funny exercise or assignment. So have fun doing that. We're going to build the groups now. I'm going to take 2 minutes to build the groups, and I'm also going to create one private group for each of the groups. We are 5 today. Wait, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Do you want guys to take, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes off? while I'm building the groups? If
Sure.
you want to grab some water, go to the bathroom, or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, I'm ready wherever you want. So we are going to build two groups. We are 5. We have the division problem we saw previously. So one of the groups is going to have three of you guys, and the other one is going to have just 2. Sadly, we don't have float divisions in this case. So write down Neil, Abdul Nasir, and Sadashiv. You are all together in group number 1.
Yep.
Neil,
Okay.
Abdul Nasir, and Sadashiv. I'm very sorry if I pronounce the names incorrectly. Please correct me.
Yeah, that's fine.
So you're group number 1, and of course, Yatri and William, you're for this case in number 2. Groups are changing all the weeks, so you're going to work all together. You don't care about that. We're going to share groups with everyone. Okay.
Okay.
So what you have to do now is speak to your other classmates in the group and try to organize one day to meet during the week. You know, you can read the group assignments by your own, but you should meet one day, I don't know, probably Thursday, Friday, wherever you want during the weekend, if it is better to you. But the idea is that you are going to work together, you know, doing pair programming or whatever kind of methodology you want. But the idea is that you meet at least one more time during the week. Is it possible for you guys?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. So let me create in Slack 2 new groups for this particular assignment. I'm going to create a group here. This is batch number 3, group 2 plus class number 1, group number 1. And we have Neil, we have Abdul here, and we have Sajid. Great, there you have. Group number 1 should have received one invitation in Slack for a new private group.
Got it.
Great. And I'm creating now the second one. It's 003 pi y pi class number 1, group number 2. It's Yatrin William. Cool. There you have group number 2. Did you receive the invitation for the new group?
Yeah.
All right. So please use the new private groups to organize when you can meet again during the week.
Okay.
That's it. We're pretty much done for this class. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stop recording now